Alrighty, y'all, welcome to Ellis Mowers. I appreciate y'all watching as always. We are on part 2 of this Craftsman LT1000 riding mower with the hydrostatic transaxle 42-inch deck. Part 1, we fixed the drive belt. We made the deck blading gauge work better. We got it running and driving and cutting. On part 2, we're going to fix a fuel delivery issue. We've got an issue with the, like I said, fuel delivery. This has been repowered. It originally had a 20 horse Briggs V-twin on it. It's now got a 19.5 opposed twin on it. I think we're also going to take these shrouds off right here and see if we can get some, I know I think the right side's clear, but I think the left side's got a lot of acorns and whatnot in it. So we'll get that left side shroud off and see how bad it is on that side. Not getting any gas to the carburetor. The fuel pump, I suspect, is bad or it's dirty. Along those lines, this mower is about 20 years old. So we're going to unplug the headlights. And I'm going to pull the hood off. So these have two different types of carburetors that come on them, the opposed twins. This is a newer one, and it comes with the 4-screw. I believe the 4 screws are Nickies. Somebody wants to correct me on that. The 3 screws, I think, are the older types, and I think they're the Walboros. I have replaced a fuel pump on a 3-screw one before. I have not replaced a fuel pump on a 4-screw, so this will be different for me. What I'm going to do, find me a screwdriver with the number 2 bit, and we're going to take off these 4 screws in the front here. I'll let y'all have a good view of it, hopefully. Get y'all a little closer. Alright, let's go for a ride. Alright, the 4-screw Nicky, here we go. And like I said, I know it's not a carb issue because when it's getting gas to the carb, it runs great. So my guess is that it's just simply not pumping fuel up in there. So we're going to check and see how bad the diaphragm is on it. If it's bad, we'll replace it. If it's just dirty, we'll clean it and see if that fixes anything. You'll get a little fuel leakage, obviously. Oh, there we go. Let's see what we've got here. Yeah. It's got rusty crusties on the back side of this. I can feel them. Ooh. Yeah, we got rusty crusties, if you want to call them that. It can definitely use replacing. Let me show y'all real quick. It's not the prettiest, I'll say that. There's your inlet on your lawnmower there with your jet and all that. So I might just take a wire What I might try first is just some carb clean, but as you can see, there's some residue and just gunk and just mess and such on this whole diaphragm, which you know, isn't the best thing to see. So we will order a replacement fuel pump for this. And here's the backing plate with all the other gaskets and seals and stuff. So like I said, we're gonna see what we got going here. I'll pull this gasket off of, ooh, that is on there tight. I'll pull this gasket and such off of this backing plate here, and we'll see, you know, see how everything looks. And we will replace the fuel pump on this, and like I said, just see what we got going on. Alright, so here is the little mounting plate, whatnot. You see all the crud and stuff in there? Like I mentioned, it sounded crusty. So what I do have is I actually have another riding mower that has a an opposed twin on it that has basically a new carburetor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this out a little bit. I'm going to make sure that the little jet right here is free and clear of stuff, so that excuse me, so that everything works like it is supposed to. I just have to find my proper tools. There it is back there. I'm just going to use a wire brush or wire paper clip here, and so I'm just gonna pop it through. I'm gonna need a smaller one. There we go. It almost kind of looks like that hole is a little clogged. And I'll grab my, here it is, that new plate, and I'll pop that in there and see what we have. Hopefully we have something, because this is very strong and the other part of it was pretty weak. So what I'm going to do is, might run a little seafoam or something through this. Brush it off a little bit. I might just do this for testing purposes to see if it'll work. Just we'll pop this back in. Because like I said, if it's not pulsing, then, you know, your spring goes right here, and then so it goes in the little diaphragm like that right there, as you can see. And just like that. I'm going to pop it in and pop this little backing plate on to see if we have any pulse action, see if it'll run like that. Throw some seafoam through it and see what happens. I'd get the other gasket off, but it's splitting from the plate, and so I don't want to mess up what I think is another good fuel pump, just to test this one out. So let me see what happens. I'll put it all back together, and we'll see if it'll crank and run like it's supposed to. Alrighty, I'll put it back on. I put this newer pump in there, or diaphragm, whatever you want to call that piece on the back here. Remember to put your spring back in. That's a little tricky. Put your spring back in with the little backing plate for the spring so that it doesn't punch through the diaphragm. I don't have a clue what's going to happen. I don't know if this will just fix it or if I'm just going to need to get a new fuel pump. I just got parts lying around and I really want to get this thing out as quickly as possible. So let's just see what happens. Got plenty of fuel in there. Maybe it isn't. Got plenty of gas right there, so I'm wondering if it's flooding. Or if it's just not getting any spark, or I don't know. At this point, it could be a clogged jet. Got plenty of gas down in there. Let's see if it's pumping up. We're getting plenty of gas in there. Makes you wonder if one of the jets are clogged now. Let's see what happens with this. Alright. So we know we're getting plenty of fuel coming up through here. We can check for spark, I suppose. We should be getting some. Yeah, the plugs aren't wet. Let's just see. Okay. That's kind of strange. Still surging at idle a little bit. I'm gonna let it run for a little while and see what happens. She's doing pretty good. Okay, so the only thing now is that it's idling, surging a little bit at idle. That's it. Like I said, I did put a fuel filter on it. Seemed like that little back front portion of the fuel pump is what made the difference there, because the other one had a bunch of crud in it. It seemed like it was a little tired. Let's see if it'll crank back up for us. Alright, so that's a good thing, because I kind of wanted to get this thing going without having to wait a few days for shipping of items. What I'm going to do is I think I'm going to ride around the backyard with it and make sure it's running and cutting right and it's not eating the belt alive. The belt's still looking good, y'all. It just needed to wear itself in a little bit, which it has done, which is great. Just needed to get that get that grippy portion of it on there. I think I do need to change the oil in this though. Yeah, we will need to change the oil in it. It smells like oil, it doesn't smell like gas, so that's a plus. Tricky thing about the oil change on this is the way that they've got the drain and fill on this thing is not in the most ideal location. I am going to let it cool off a little bit before I change the oil, but I guess I'll try and tilt the mower on its side and use that apparatus there. I don't really know how to approach this because it's going to spill it all over the place. I will have to clean this off and give it a quick wash again. But and I guess I showed this. I did paint the deck so it makes it look a little bit better. Hopefully it prevents even a little bit of rust and whatnot. Tire tubes also, that's coming. I'm gonna let this thing cool down and then I'll do kind of all the addressing the issues type deal with it, and then we will do a final look and test. I'll probably hit the backyard with it as well, just to make sure that I got more than this in the backyard, just to make sure that it's cutting like it's supposed to. So yeah, we'll do that, and I'll catch y'all. If there are no more issues, I'm just going to do the little service deal, and we'll do the final test of this thing. Then we'll move on to our next culprit, so to speak. Like I said, I think that deal on the front of the fuel pump was the issue, as it seems to be working correctly now. So, easy fix. We'll do a final look and start here in a minute. So I know I mentioned I saw a couple of acorns. Well, I think we got a little bit more than a couple of acorns in here, because I tried to restart it. It seemed like it would always love to start fine cold, but when on a hot start, thing wouldn't start to save its life. So I know it's getting fuel now, because I see that there's tons of gas in the fuel filter, so we had to do that anyways. But now I'm in the process of taking off. Oh, good, I can get this off without having to take off the air box. Taking off the engine cover / shroud, and so I need a 3/8. So let me take off the rest of this and see what we have under here, because I think that's causing this to run a little hot, and it's causing the coil to break down, because I turned it over and it's probably cool enough now, but I turned it over and I had some intermittent spark. You see that? it's not really sparking as much. So it makes me think that the coil's too hot, which it probably is considering all the junk that I see right here. So this is something I should have done first, but I haven't really had to do a ton of troubleshooting with this, thankfully, yet. I got to get the right socket. But let me get all this shroud stuff off. I got a couple of bolts right there to get this one off. A couple of bolts in the back, a couple of bolts in the front, and we'll see what we got up under here. I'm guessing that it's going to be pretty chock full, and it's going to make me wonder why in the world this thing was even running, too. We'll see in just a second. Yeah, so there you go. That's what's causing a lot of my issues. It's probably running hot, breaking down the coil. So let me get the trash can. Got me a glove here. Let me put my glove on real quick. And we're just going to scrape this or pull this bad boy off. Ooh, boy, this thing was packed. Wow. Good news is, it appears that that the coil has not been chewed through. It's just got some rust on it. Might grab my air compressor to blow some of this out because it is chock in there, chock pretty full. Yeah, let me charge up the air compressor. I'll clean all of this stuff out. Hopefully this thing will run a little bit better, because I'm sure it was running a little hot with all that going on. Got a couple of acorn storage over here on this side. It's not terrible though. I'll take the rest of this tin off here with the 5/16, which I've got on the other side. I might just take it back up to the water hose and just wash the mess out of it. Let's see if there's any more surprises in this tin over here. Yeah, just doing this with one hand since I got one hand on the camera here. There we go. Yeah, some acorns and stuff in there. Like I said, I might just take this thing up to the hose and let it go nuts with the hose. Put my little dipstick back and cover the oil fill. That way I don't get water in the oil. And yeah, we'll get back to it. Like I said, no damage to the coil wires, thankfully. It's just, you know, chock full, so it's probably messing with the ground and such. So let me wash all this off, and we'll attempt to get this back going again. Like I said, that should fix our issue. Big mouse nest, though. I'm kind of surprised it ran with the mouse nest that big in there. Alright, so the first step I'm going to do here is I'm going to check. These opposed twins are easy to look at the carb and see how bad they are. There's a, and you're going to get fuel spilling out all over everywhere. You can get a rag or whatnot and put up under here just to minimize the fuel spill. You don't have to close off any valves or take off any fuel lines or anything like that, because obviously it's fuel pump driven, so whatever fuel's in the carb will come out, and then whatever the remainder you have stay in the tank until you try and crank it, I guess. And it looks like, I don't know, looks like there's a little bit of gunk in there, but not too bad. Let me grab a flashlight. Oh boy. Let's see, here we go. Let's see what we've got in there. We can probably blow out most of this. Oh yeah, see that? See all that gunk up in that jet right there? So let me get a screwdriver, and I'm gonna take that jet out, and we'll clean it. Golly, it's kind of a miracle that the thing's even running. How bad that jet looks. Let's see. Thought I had another screwdriver in here I could use. Let's try this one. Oh, that's actually the perfect one, I think. Here we go. Get a magnet and magnetize it out there. Those are going to be a little fun to get back in. If it's a brass jet, it might not even magnetize out, but here we go. Yep. Alright, let me fish it out then. Somehow, oh, there goes a ring. I know what I can grab. Let me grab my pliers. A little 45-degree angle pliers. See if I can get those in there and get it out. Alright, well, let me figure out how I'm going to fish out this this jet, and I'll get back to y'all in just a second. Alright, y'all, let me show you what I'm up to. So I've taken the jet, of course, whenever I try to get it, has gotten shoved back in there somehow. And so what I'm going to do, I've taken the fuel line off, the vacuum line off, the air filter cover, which is just 3 5/16. And so now I'm taking off the 2 carb mounting bolts on the bottom. I've taken off the choke cable as well, star bit, and then you just disconnected. We'll take off that here in a second. So now I've got 7/16. I'm taking off the bolts off of the bottom here on the intake, and I'll take those intake bolts off. I think this is going to need a full-on carb clean, but hey, bonus content, right? Get this shirt out of the way. Fuel line can go away for a second. I'm just going to take off this second bolt, and we should be able to like pull this carb right off of the intake, and we will clean it out, and then we'll put it back together, and that should hopefully solve our issue. I don't know how easy that is to see, but I don't know if you can see on the other side. That jet was starting to get partially clogged. And so the rest of the carburetor looks pretty clean. So I'm just going to throw some carb cleaner in this jet, which I probably could have done without taking the carb off. But I'm going to throw some carb cleaner in the jet and see if that'll help fix the issue that we have. Put the carb back on, crank it up, and see what we got. Alrighty, I got it back together, so let's see if we have any better results with this as we did before I cleaned the jet out. Still idling weird. It actually sounds like it's running worse now. Huh. Oh boy. Alright, so I don't know if I need to do a full-on carb clean, or I just need to let this thing run for a while, or I'm not quite sure actually. So I could check the condition of all the spark plugs and such, but I mean, I would feel like they're all good because it seems like it's a fuel related issue. So what I might do, let's see if it'll run on the second cylinder there. Might have a fouled plug, I don't know. Let's see. No, I can hear both of them running. I don't know, I might just let it run out here for a little while and see if it'll clean itself out, or if it's doing the whole sputtering thing like it was doing earlier. Kind of really don't know where to go from here, except to do on a full-on carb clean, but that jet usually is what the issue it is, unless there's so much crud in the bottom of the carb, which there shouldn't be with the way that it is. Like I said, it might just need a little run time. I'm gonna give it a little run time and see what happens, and clean up while all that's going on, and I'll see what's going on with it. So hopefully we can get a good mower out of this. Like I said, the only issue now is just to get the thing running right, to where, I mean, I don't mind it surging a little bit because I know that nicky carburetor is horrible, but I don't want it to where it's like bogging down and trying to run weird and things like that. So let me work on it a little bit. I'll get back up with y'all in just a second. Alright, pardon the light. I got the deck back off the mower because if you look down, it looks like the pulley is a little high on, and you can see where the belt's been wearing at the top a little bit. Nothing really worn a new belt at this point, but you can see where it's been wearing at the top because the pulley right here is lower. Actually, this pulley is higher than all the others, and I can see why now. I mentioned that the blade brakes aren't working on this. It looked like they're rusted and they're not moving or anything. I don't know if because of the light, if y'all can see, but this bolt right here, right there, is actually rubbing against the bottom part of this pulley. So what I'm going to do is, I wonder if I can get it from the bottom and make it. I might try and just unscrew it from the bottom down there, from right there. See if I can get it off without actually having to take this pulley off, and then it'll probably just cause this pulley to go down and be okay. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to take that bolt off. The worst case scenario, I have to take this bolt back off and take the whole pulley mechanism off. I don't think I'm going to have to do that, but we'll find out. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll tell you the end result. Because it's just, as, like I said, it's just as easy as just unbolting some stuff. So, which I've already shown you all on camera. So let me do that real quick. So it seems like somewhere along the line, something somewhere got a little bit bent. So what I did, I needed to lower the arm of this pulley here on the back side of it. So it mounts right here. I put a very, very small washer in there and then just impacted it on top. And as you can see, it is much, much more level now. Much more level. So what it was, like I said, it was eating the belt up at the top originally. And so now we're very even. I'll send you on the back here too. I know the sun's really fighting, but we're very close to being level, and that was the goal, because you can see it was trying to eat the top of the belt off, and that's what I don't want to do that. So let me get it back on the mower. I'm going to test it out the way that it is, and I'm going to see if we have a mower that is not going to skin the deck belt up. I think we'll be in good shape. The little ingenious things that you do, right? So I gotta put that spring back on too. These tension springs are always breaking off of these decks. So I got no resistance. Blade brakes are off, so not gonna have any of that deal going on. I wish the blade brakes were on, but you know, sometimes you get what you get and you have to work with what you got. So let me pop this back on. I'll do a test, and if it tests out good, that includes the engine, because you know, like I mentioned, it was spitting and sputtering while I was cutting with it. If that all tests out good, then I will catch y'all with the final look and test and run and all that. Oh, by the way, I also got all the tire tubes in. There was 3 tires that needed tubes. They were going flat within a day, so that's good. I'm gonna put the deck back on, and I'll catch y'all in just a second. Alrighty, y'all, so I've got a couple of small things here. I took it out and tried to cut the backyard with it. I almost got done cutting the entire backyard with it, and then it started cutting out again. So I've taken the spark plugs off, because like I said, I've cleaned the carburetor. It seems like the issue with the carburetor isn't it, and it seems like the coil's getting hot and it's breaking down. Let me see when I start it if it'll show y'all. So I know that I got 2 plugs here. I'll show you on this side as well. So it looks like that side has remedied itself, but this side. So I've either got a bad ground to the coil that gets hot, or a bad coil itself. I know these opposed twins are pretty bad about breaking coils. So I'm going to pull one off of another mower that I have here tomorrow. Very easy to do. I just need to take the engine cover back off, and the coil is right there, and we'll pop it on, and I'll test the front yard, and we'll see if that does anything. But it's getting better now that it's cooling down a little bit. That first try that I don't know if y'all could see was intermittent. There's tons of gas in the fuel filter, so I know that that is working properly too. I'm going to pop a coil on it and see if that remedies the issue. I'm just going to run over the yard with it for about 30 to 45 minutes after I do that tomorrow to see if that fixes the issue. But for now, I'm going to call it a night, and I'll check back in with it tomorrow. Alright, so I got the shroud off. Again, it's just 8 bolts that gets it off, 2 on each side respectively, and then 2 5/16 to get this little bracket off the shroud, and this comes right off. And we can take a look and see the condition of this thing, and you can see that it has seen better days. I didn't realize, I knew it was rusted, I did not realize how bad it is. So it is very obvious to me that this thing needs replacing. I've got some on order. For the time being, I want to get this out to the customer this weekend. So I've got the gray Craftsman over here. I bought 2 just in case this one's defective on the off chance, but I was told this one runs. It was just starving for fuel. So I'm going to take this off of this mower, which it seems like it's halfway already done for me. So again, 1, 2, I guess it's 3, 4. You'll see the 8 bolts. They all look the same. He's actually got new spark plugs and such in this one, so this might be a new coil. Let me get this engine cover off. I'll take that other coil off, and I'll really quickly show you how you do that. It is 8 bolts, or at 5/16 inch bolts. I don't know where I got 8 from. Thinking of 8 bolts for the engine cover. You can typically just take them off like this, but I'm gonna need a ratchet or something. Be sure not to break them off in there, so I'm gonna do my best not to do that. And I'll take this coil off, and then we'll get it on here, and we'll gap it, and then we will continue. The flywheel looks to be in decent shape. No more rust than you typically would see on one, so don't think that's it. I'm gonna work on this, and I'll get back to you. So a couple of things to note. I took this off. Be sure to clean your points right here where it attaches to the block of the engine, and also you got your grounding point that you pull out. Excuse me, pulls out right there, right? So take note of those two things, and then also take note of how everything is routed, spark plug wise or plug wire wise. So it comes under this little metal shroud here. One of them comes around what appears to be the little blow-by vacuum pulsing plate right there. Comes around here and unplugs. And then we should be able to get it off without having to go through or having to take this piece off, because that tin actually goes completely under the mower. So we're taking both plug wires off. The longer plug wire is actually clipped in right there, so make sure you get that off of the clip. There we go. And we're just going to see if we can feed the wires back up through here. Let's see. Let's try the long wire first. It's going to probably get caught on some things as it ventures up through here, but that's okay. There's the short wire. We'll pull the short wire up too. Might need 2 hands because I'm going to pull this up. Might even bend it up a little bit, see if I can just get it out like that. So let me set y'all down real quick, and I will do that. Alright, so I'm going to pull it up through. I'm going to pull this metal up a little bit. I'm not going to bend it. I'm just going to kind of pull it. It's a very tight spot that you got to get it through. And it mounts under the flywheel. So I've kind of put y'all in a position that you can't see. But here we go. So here's the way that I'm approaching this. You see this little space in between the little intake area and the shroud bracket there? I'm just taking the wires really carefully, and I'm pulling them through instead of trying to pull them out, you know. So it's right there, and so now I'm just trying to pull them up and through that little small space right there. There we go. And now it's out. So you've got one wire that's slightly shorter than the other. The short wire goes on the same side that the coil is mounted to the engine on, so that plug right there. The other one goes through that little bracket that I showed you, and it goes onto the far end. So let me do the same thing to that other one. I'm going to take a wire brush, clean this off right here, so I know it has a good mounting point. and then I will catch back up with y'all when I get the new coil on after I gap it. You're supposed to gap them with a business card. I usually just eyeball it. I've done so many of these before. So I'm going to do that, and we will revisit here in just a second. So here's that coil off of that other mower. This looks so much better. So the little grounding portion goes on the bottom, so it's going to mount like this. Just like that. So we're going to pop the plug wires in, and I'll pop y'all over here on camera so you can see me while I do this. Been reading up on these, and it looks like this issue for these 42 and 46 cubic inch Post twins are very, very common. So I think I had one a few years ago. I didn't know what I was doing, and had the same issue. There were a lot of things I did years ago when I was in college that makes you wonder why people even bought mowers from me, right? Alright, so I'm going to take a wire, take a drill here, and just kind of knock the rust off of this a little bit with the little wire thing. Just be careful when you do it. You want to try not to split your coils up too bad. Just to knock some of that rust off, it'll ensure a better connection. So let's pop her on here. And also clean these terminals right here. So just trying to give this thing every shot it's got, right? There's screw number 1. Again, you can use a business card here. That'll probably help your cause a little bit. Especially if this is like your first or your second time ever doing one. Yeah, we'll mount it first, and then we'll do the whole gapping deal. Or then we'll do the whole putting the plug wires on deal. It's got a little bit of a crown to it too, so it's not going to go in there perfectly even. You'll see maybe a little bit bigger gap in the middle than you do on the sides. Just a smidge, and then just the smallest amount. There we go. Oh, went a little bit in too far, actually. Again, a business card's a great gauge for thickness. Well, now the left side needs to come out a little bit. $10 feeler gauge also works, or a 10,000th of an inch feeler gauge, I'm sorry. Alright, so small wire. This is the big wire. Small wire. Let's put the big wire through first. I'm going to go under this. Hopefully I'm not in the way. There we go. We're going to take it, feed it through like it was. Over onto this side. We'll take it behind the stator wires. Fasten it into that bracket I showed y'all earlier. Give it a little slack there. And we'll pop it into the plug. We'll do the short wire. Short wire is on the same side as the coil. I'm going to feed it right under there. I'm going to do the same thing with this one just to save a little camera time. And I am going to feed it right through right there and then around here to the intake, and just pop it on right there. Last but not least, take your grounding wire, which came up. You can probably run it up through the fins there and be okay, but I'm gonna, yeah, just probably should run it up through the fins, honestly, so that you don't pinch it. Take your grounding wire, probably just didn't get that on camera, but pop it right into the terminal. And in theory, this thing should run, and I'm going to run it. If it runs, I'll put the shroud back on it, run it through the front yard, make sure that this coil is not breaking down. And then I'm going to do a final check on the deck. The deck seems to be holding up fine now. I did a little bit more adjusting on the one of the spindles, in addition to what I showed you yesterday or earlier in the video. And yeah, so I think that's how we're going to route all this good stuff. I'm going to finish buttoning this up, and then we'll start her up and clean some stuff up too. We'll start her up, see what we got. Alright, everything's connected. Before I put everything back on, like the shroud and everything, let's have a moment of truth here. What do y'all think? You think this will fix it? Still temperamental when you first crank it up, cold. So, and it's a little low on gas. I will top off the gas. It's running no worse, running no better than it was. I'm going to top everything off, put the shroud on, take this thing out. I'm going to cut the front yard with it. If it cuts the front yard fine and doesn't start sputtering and cutting off, I mean, y'all saw the condition of that blade, or that coil was rough. These things emit a lot of heat too, so it's not surprising that these sometimes will, you know, do weird things. I'll get this thing out again after it warms up. It should smooth out a little bit. And test it. If it works, we're sending it on to its new owner, who's ready waiting for it. So the good news is it's tested out fine. It's not cutting off in the middle of the yard like it was. So I think from a coil perspective, either way, this thing needed replacing. Look how bad it looked. Look how bad off it was anyways. It was bound to fail at any point. No big deal. It's still surging though. You can hear it surging some whenever you have it cranked and running. So what I'm going to do is I am going to attempt to just put the fuel pump in, but if I can't put the fuel, if I put the fuel pump in and I'm still having issues with it, I'm going to take this whole carb off and figure out what's going on with it. So let me get into that and I'll start rolling here. Alright, so let me tell you what I have done. I think I've shown y'all, shown me taking this carb off already. It's really not too bad. But I've got it off. I'm checking the jets and such. And what I did is I took out this jet. So what I've done, so your carburetor looks like that whenever you take everything off. You have this in here, right? See a little gunk right there? Also, so you pull that out, you have this. So I cleaned that jet down there earlier. Now I've taken this jet out. If you look, I have some blockage at the bottom down there. Blockage at the bottom. So that's probably why this thing was intermittently doing what it was doing. I think it was doing it all on top of having a coil issue, so it's kind of halfway a miracle that it was running. Fuel pump is good, which is a good thing. Dump some of this, the rest of that fuel out right there. Even the bottom of the bowl is pretty good. So it's just that jet, and that kind of goes along with how everything's mounted on the top here as well. So I need to clean that out. And I need to clean this out with some carb spray. I'm going to do that. I'll rejoin y'all. I know this video is getting super long, so that's why I'm trying to skip some of these steps. But I have a rebuild kit for a carb, but I don't think I need it because all the gaskets and stuff still seem to be in really good shape. I don't really see anything that's alarming. The pickup tube right there looks good. I'm just going to, like I said, throw some carb cleaner through that and through here, hopefully to get all that good stuff clean, and then hopefully we will be back in business. I'll put the carb back on and see what we got. So hopefully now I got it back together. Hopefully this carburetor is a little bit cleaner now. That jet that I showed you seemed to be clogged, which would make sense to make it having a little bit of intermittent running problem, especially when it was warm. I think, like I said, I think the coil played a factor in it because it had intermittent sparks. So it's kind of like the whole 99 problems deal. The mower runs, but has like 99 problems with it still. Feels like this thing is. I feel like I've been working on it forever. Hopefully this is the last time I have to work on it. Probably just jinxed myself. It'll take a second to crank because it doesn't have any fuel in the carb. So just hang tight for a second. is what it's supposed to sound like. So it's still not 100%, but it's 90% better, which is awesome. I am happy with that. I am going to let it give it a little bit more run time this evening. It'll be a little too dark whenever I finish, but tomorrow morning I'll get it out and I'll give you all a final look and test on it. I've checked the belt. I've cut the grass with it twice. Since I've done the pulley deal right here on the front, putting the washer to lower the pulley down on the back a little bit, it hasn't been wearing the deck belt any more than it was. Pulling it up on 6, it does wear it a little bit at the top, but anything below 6, it's great. So I feel confident that now that I've cleaned that out, we'll be in good shape to sell this thing. Or to go ahead and give it to the new buyer. If the thing's already sold, just got to get it fixed. So when it gets light, I'll give you all a nice look, final look and test. And then we will move on to the next project. Alright y'all, here we go. Ready to go to the new owner. Again, I've checked the belt. It doesn't seem like after that first time I've cut with it that it's wearing any more on like it in a weird sense or whatever. So I think that is good. I am going to tell the new buyer, I know him, I'm going to tell him to watch out for those. Watch out on the belt just to make sure it's not shredding it. Good news is belts are like $8, $9. Again, this thing didn't have blade brakes on it when I got it, so that's kind of wish it had, but kind of do with what you work with. Those blade brakes are too much for what the mower is worth, so, and everything else works fine. So let's crank this thing up and let's roll. Remember how it was surging earlier? Smoother even at the low idle right there. So does turn a little bit, but finds its idle, and it does fine. Alrighty, y'all, this one's done after a long and arduous process. I'm very happy with it. Hope that y'all are. You know, a little bit of deck work with the blades, some tube action, pulley action on the hydro trans, and the double whammy of a coil issue with spark, as well as a fuel issue with a partially clogged jet there. So I think we're good on this one. Let me know what y'all think about it if y'all like this mower. It is going to its new owner for $500, and hopefully he'll be pretty happy with it. It's going to be a nice mower with the opposed twin, big tractor tires, decent cosmetic shape overall too. So I appreciate y'all watching as always. You can catch me online at Ellis Mowers and or Ellis Mowers 09, Facebook and Instagram. We'll work on the next project on the next video, and I'll catch you then.